Ta-da-da. Okay, recording starting. Today we are going to talk about the topic that all SEOs want, and that is something that is aligned with starting their own SEO business
Mhm.
and how to do it, and especially how to do it to be aligned with your real values, like how to make it like so kind of like one identity, that like my business is actually the visibility of myself. Kira did this, I did this, so we really want to share our experience, like how you can do it. So Kira, thank you so much for coming. You are founder and CEO of Diary of an SEO, very specific a name. We love it. So, how did you do that? And like, maybe we can start firstly from the showing the benefits. What are real benefits when your business is actually just extension of you? It's not
Mhm.
just like something else that you are doing.
Great question. And before I get into that, thank you so much for inviting me to speak with you. It's always a pleasure. And I'm so excited to talk about this topic because it's not discussed enough. So I hope that you and I can cook something up today that will be super useful to everyone who listens.
Yeah,
And
let's start cooking.
so to start off with, how the biggest part of this question is, how do you make it align with your values so it's an extension of you? And that's a really great point, because when it's not an extension of you, and this is how people generally start their business, they're like, I've got this revolutionary idea, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then it becomes really difficult because, as you know, it's the same as lying. It doesn't feel right, it just feels difficult. So to make it you, I think you have to reverse engineer things. So this is going to be a weird take on it, because when I started, so this is quite a funny story actually. The day I created my Instagram, which was about 3.5 years ago, I didn't think I was going to have a business. I called it Egg Tech. So like egg, like like an egg tech, because I wanted to share technological things with people. So I didn't even want to do SEO. And then I changed it to Diary of an SEO, not knowing why. I just felt it was right. And as I did business more and more, I then learned how to align it with myself. So I got into it being fully confused. I was like, I'll just do it and see what happens. And now I can confidently say, why is it called Diary of an SEO, and why I do what I do? So it's just easy for me, and it doesn't feel like work because I live in it. I live being an international person and help people understand culture and norms and understand people. So with any industry, same as SEO, people buy from people, and that's what we forget. And it's just easy for me. So it's not that I have to sit there for, days and nights Googling things, how to do it. I just know. That's why
Mhm.
people like us, because we just feel it, we've lived through it, we get paid a lot of money, and we bring a hell lot of value to people, and we're very unique because not many people can do what we do. And we do it so well because we practice what we preach. So we live in our craft.
Mm. And you mentioned crucial thing here, and that is actually feelings. So many SEOs are avoiding to listen our gut, to listen
Mhm,
our feelings, to just like be in head, like what is smart, what is clever, like
mhm,
what sounds good, like what is like SEO optimized, what is like this and this. And of course, it is difficult, like because it's not natural,
mhm,
and as much as we are avoiding to really feel the business and feel like what we want to do and how we want to do it, like we will struggle, like, and especially because the community is kind of like emphasizing like working hard, having side hustles, like working overnight, like just like everything. People who are coming into this world, they are thinking, I need to struggle as well. I need to stress as well. Like stress is good for me. They are pushing me to make like things better or something like that. And of course, that is the reason like why we are burnt out, why we are thinking like, oh, did we make a right decision? Like why this is so difficult, but just like pushing, because we don't allow ourselves to just like feel, okay, just like let's feel what kind of business I'm going to run, what kind of like values I'm going to incorporate, and how it will be aligned with myself. So when I starting my day, I have no idea that I'm starting my also business or that I'm working.
Exactly. Absolutely. And that, I think that comes with time as well, because if you and I spoke a year ago, so my business turns one next week, but if you and I spoke last year, I would I would say, yeah, the struggle's part of the hustle. I have to work day and night. I have to figure things out that are super confusing and don't make sense to me. And I have to, this is a big one, I have to have a solid plan before I start. And I think that's wrong. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion or not, but I would always say what you said in the beginning, going with your gut feeling, because we put our intuition so deep down because of everything around us, like technology, social media, that kills our intuition. But you have to ground yourself, be a bit mindful of it, because your intuition is usually right. So that's what I've learned over the last year, growing my business and kind of growing into what I want to be. I had no idea what was going to happen when I started, but I was doing it. I thought I'm 20, well, 25 years old. It was just last year. When I'm 30, I'm going to be 30 regardless. Time is not going to stop. So either I'm going to work really hard for the next 5 years and do everything I can and fail as many times as I can, or I'm going to be scared and keep writing plans that will never become realized.
And you know what? Like when we are hearing these kinds of stories, like people are just like think, oh, they are lying, they are lucky, it happened to them. Like not for me. I'm not the lucky one. I'm not this and this. Like it's just like very hard to believe in these kinds of stories. Like who else is going to say you just like listen your body, do it like how it feels good for you? It's just crazy, you know, like it's more than you are crazy, then you are kind of like smart girl in a business.
Mhm. Yeah, but it's so 100% of people starting their businesses are going to disagree with what I've just said. But then a year on, 100% of those people will agree. So you only see this in retrospect, and you need to feel different in order to push it forward. So, you're not growing if you look back a year ago and think, oh God, why'd I do that? So that's a good sign that you're growing. If you look back and you're like, "Huh, I wouldn't have done that now." So that's growth. So if I started on day 1 and was like, "I'm going to put my health first. I'm not going to overwork. I'm not going to do this." I don't think I'd be where I am today. But my
Mhm.
old mindset, like I won't sleep for a week. I'm going to keep doing everything. I'm going to overbook myself. I'm going to stress out. I'm going to cry every day. That brought me here. So now with that experience, I know what not to do, but it's always easier said than done. So I think people have to get to that place to really understand it. And a lot of the time, they have to live through it. Only the most intelligent people, like emotionally intelligent people, would learn from someone else's mistake, but we're all human. So if some people told me this before, they were like, prioritize your health. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then I got really ill. So
Mhm.
yeah.
That's the thing, because we can't see real value and importance of our health or our like mental threatness about like all these, you know, like non-popular thing about us
Yeah.
until we really see that our mental health is destroyed, that we are not living that life that we want, and then we are ready. When we are kind of like catching the lowest point of ourselves,
Mhm.
that is a moment when we are ready to like make another side and like try something that we didn't try. That is like most common thing for my clients. They are not ready to work on their mindset until they like catch burnout,
Yeah.
the lowest point they have, when they feel that they are not even capable of work. That is a moment when they are realizing like something needs to be changed. But like, do you think, is there any possible another way to start working on these kinds of things before we hit the lowest bottom?
That's such a great question. And if there is a way, please tell me. Being me, obviously, I would always compare humans to what I'm like because I don't know what people are like. for me, that would have been impossible knowing me. But I hope that people are better out there and they would come to people like you and say, how do I make this as seamless as possible? And actually learn from other people's mistakes. So maybe when I start my next business, I'll be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't kill myself over this. But until then, I wouldn't know. It's a bit like Schrodinger's cat, you know? We'll
Mm-hmm. And the same for me, like I was starting to work on on my mindset when I hit the burnout. Like it was
Mhm,
like 2 years ago, and I was like, no, something is wrong. Like, I'm going to like kill myself with the work and everything, or I need to make some change.
mhm,
What I see that like now is possible to change that if you value, especially money, over your health. If you want to save more money, then you want to make your life less stressful. When money is more important to you than your like health and everything, then
mhm,
you are not ready to like like start working on yourself. But if you see that actually money is on the lower level than your health, than your stress, than your like everyday struggles, and when you know that like like we have like so many tools and checklists to fix
mhm.
that mindset, to like improve yourself, then you are ready to like I am like choosing myself, I will start working on myself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so many things that people can do and that people should do and people they should speak to. I think from everything we've just said, a really good idea is to have someone by your side, whether it be a coach or a partner or a friend. I think sharing your feelings is really important because you shouldn't do it alone. So when I was getting ill every month, quite violently ill as well. Completely bedbound, like super lightheaded, all of those things that are pretty much burnout. I spoke to my husband and he set me straight. So we always need people who can set you straight, who say, I know that you want to be very wealthy, which is great, but your biggest wealth is your body. You know, it's like a car. You take your car in for an MOT every year, but you neglect yourself for 5 or 10 years. And that really put things into perspective because without my health, I can't grow the business. So the base is me. That's the foundation of the pyramid. And you have to fix yourself first. So through that, I learned that everything has to go on hold. So if I feel like I need to go to the doctor, no matter how many clients are emailing us, I I go. So because that's priority number 2 and I'm priority number 1. But
Yes.
it took a long time to get there. So I do hope that people can be more mindful in the first couple of months of business before they jump into the deep end.
And in the end of the day, like, like even you are running your business and starting your business and you are experiencing burnout, like that's great again, because like we were on the same path,
Mhm,
like we were there, you are there to completely like, okay, but you have, it's your responsibility to make the turnover, and like you can do it. So, like it is not like the end of the world.
mhm.
Most of the people are experiencing the same, so you can just like make things right and just like turn it off. So it's not just like, it's not big deal, it's just like which path you want to choose and you want to experience.
Exactly. It always seems like a very big deal. So I've worked through this for a long time. I used to have anxiety every Sunday night, so before the new week, and I would go to bed thinking, "My God, I've got so much to do. I need to make a list," and then I'd get up, make a list, and I would wake up that Monday feeling completely disarmed, completely unmotivated from thinking I've got so much to do. But really, there's not that much to do. You just sit down and get on with your work. But that feeling of, oh, it's a new week, I've got so much to do, that's disarming. So that all comes from here. Because the reality is that like you can literally not do any work all of Monday and the world will not end.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's crazy.
Yeah, and just like we need to notice here, is it more overwhelming to think about all these tasks that we need to do, or just actually sit and work? Because in most of the cases, you are more overwhelmed by all these thoughts. What else I need to do?
Exactly. It's the thoughts. That's exactly it. Everything is in our heads. which is so easy to say now because I know because I've been through it. But when you're in it, it's terrifying. Your mind seems so like a big place, that's your whole world. But really, nothing is wrong. You can just let it happen, you can let it be. So now what I've learned to do is I wake up, I take in these feelings, I feel them. I don't think you should reject things like that. But I understand why I'm feeling that way. I put things, down on paper, say, why are you stressed? Lots of things to do. Okay, what do you have to do? Put 5 things on the paper, which is not that much to do. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, okay, well, let me just do one and see how I get on. Then you do one and then you forget what's happened. Then you just keep working
Hmm.
like a normal person. So that mindset shift is quite interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So starting your business, how that happened? Have you ever thought that you're going to be a businesswoman?
So when I was younger, I went through lots of different career thoughts. This is quite funny because when I was really small, I wanted to be a jockey. And then And then I wanted to be the president of the United States. I'm not from the United States, I'm from Russia. So I was like, "I'm gonna do it." And my parents were like, "Yes, you're gonna do it." Like, "Why are you saying this?" But, then I went into politics, so, president of the United States, and I left university. I so things which I won't go into, lots of personal troubles, as a lot of us have, and then I was forced to move to China, and I was working as an English teacher for a year. Uh, that's when I learned about tech, not even SEO, so about web development, and that's where I first got into it. Then I started doing a little bit of part-time things on Fiverr and on Upwork, maybe building websites, editing content. Thought that was really fun. Then we went volunteering to Africa for a year. And in Egypt, we worked for a guy who had a digital marketing agency and needed SEO copywriters. So that was the first time I heard about SEO. And what we had to do is incredibly black hat SEO, where you take a piece of content and you just rewrite it. That was before ChatGPT, so you actually had to do this yourself. Had to rewrite things for each state in the US, but the same content and just slightly different things. And I thought it was really interesting. I didn't know better, so I thought that was really cool. I read all the 200 Google ranking factors and I was like, wow, this is awesome. And this was 3 years ago, okay? I'm new to this. And that's when I created the page on Instagram, Diary of an SEO. It was April 2021 that I put it together with no plans whatsoever. Started as an Instagram page. Then I did a bit of SEO work. So I worked for 3 different companies, sorry, where I went from associate, executive, and then I was the SEO manager at an agency in Cheltenham, UK. I got really good at SEO, had some really big clients because I love doing it. So it was not work for me. I was like, this is great. I can do this forever. And I left, but I didn't want to start the business, so I just left because I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, "No, I'm too good for this. I don't wanna be here." And I had a chunk of savings, and I walked out the door and I was like, "Okay, well, what am I gonna do now?" So I gave myself 30 days. I was like, "You need to survive," and money is a big thing in my life, so financial struggle. And I gave myself 30 days and I said, "You've got 30 days to find clients and be a freelancer." So I went out and I got clients. I don't know how I did it now. It seemed like a haze at that point. I got a few clients, was doing a bit of freelance work, then kind of took the leap. You know how they say just jump and the parachute will open. So I just jumped and I don't even remember how it turned into this big semi, I mean, we're still growing, but it turned into a semi successful agency in the first year with lots of corporate clients, lots of talks, lots of people, looking up to me for things like this. And I think back to our initial question, the reason for that was just my passion for it. I just lived it. I
Hmm.
lived that and I wanted to help. And I genuinely wanted to help people make lots of money by sharing what I know. And there was no ulterior motive for anything. All I wanted was to help and to get feedback. So I love positive reinforcement. So every time I do something really well, my client is like, "Oh my god, this is awesome." And that was the best feeling in the world. And
Mhm.
that's why we're here. There's a lot of stuff I don't remember because I was in autopilot mode, just, grinding every day to get where I need to be. But my feeling and my background, so quite an international background, brought me here today. And now I'm
Mhm.
on a podcast with you.
Yes. And you know what? I'm seeing a lot of SEOs who are having full time and they
Mhm,
want to start their business.
mhm,
They are capable and on finding like some small clients, paying like extra hundreds, like, like small amounts.
mhm,
They are struggling with the time management, energy management.
mhm,
They are not able to scale it until
mhm,
the moment, like, yes, I am quitting my full-time job and I'm going through the like
mhm,
having my own business.
mhm.
You quit and then you had like 30 days, but do you see some kind of like pattern how to find like, I would say like better, but like clients who are paying and value SEO more, so they can give you like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 like euros. So basically you can have like few these kinds of clients and then you just can quit your job.
Yeah, I mean, I think what people do when they start out. So I had one client who is still my client. He was very small. He was my schoolmate, and he found me on LinkedIn, so I know him quite well. And he started paying me £300 a month back when I was very new to SEO. But for some reason, he trusted me. His company is now worth around £2 million. And that was done completely just with SEO. And he's going international as well. But he was my very first one. I got him over a year before I quit. I wouldn't call him as a proper client because he was so small, but he wrote me an A4 page testimonial after I left. And that was my advice. So someone asked me the same question. I would say if you can, if you are super forward thinking, get a client now and just work really hard on them for them to give you a really strong testimonial. Because coming out, no one's going to care about you. And that's the truth. You think that you're really good, but no one cares. Even the people who understand the value of SEO, they'd rather go with someone who's really famous. Have that testimonial, and that one testimonial attracted so many new clients to me, and that was invaluable. That was far more than what this client was paying me back then. That would be the one piece of advice, but that's besides your initial question. I think it depends on the type of person you are, whether you can get a client who's paying you a couple of thousand a month. If you are working with a large corporate, it depends on the corporate. People who are in finance, so wealth management clients, you won't hear from them more than once a month. So it, if you once you've been through it, or if you work for an agency, you would know the response rates of clients. If it's a smaller local business, you're going to hear from them every 5 minutes. So you need to again be a bit forward thinking and take advice from people who have struggled through it. So this guy that I was working with, he was very low maintenance. He had full trust in me. He didn't know the value of SEO, but he had trust in me, and he didn't pull me away from my full-time job. So it's also not fair on your full-time employer for you to be divided because he's paying you a full-time wage. So if you can give your 100% at work and then go home and give your 100% for your clients, do it. But I would say there's a lot more margin for error unless your time management is immaculate. But I think it would be best to get one or two, get that experience, get really strong testimonials, have some money. I'm not saying get paid £300 a month. If you can do more, please do, but go out with that, because that also gives you confidence. So a lot of it is mental, as we've already discussed. That already gives you confidence. So when you're looking out for new clients, you say, well, I work with these guys, you can chat to them. A lot of the time
Mm-hmm.
when I first started, I would say that. They would say, well, do you have any past experience? And I'd say, yeah, talk to him, talk to this guy. And they would reach out to him and he would confirm. And then they'd see the testimonial, which would confirm that I'm good at what I do. And they come flooding in. So that I think that bit I got right, or as right as I could have at the time. But with if you sign a 15,000 a month client when you're working full time, I don't know if you're going to deliver that value, and it's such a big and valuable client that you want to give them 100%. If you get that client, you just quit on the day, you know? So it just
Mm-hmm.
depends on the circumstance.
Yeah. And the most kind of like tricky part here is to how to find people, like because like these people are working full time. They are even like afraid how to they can't post on LinkedIn because like their companies are there, their clients, current clients are there. They don't have like the connection to reach like I would like to, I don't know, work with how to actually like these like the starting step is the like the most hardest to find like a good very paying clients. So how did you reach people? Like did you reach people or did you apply for some I don't know, open jobs there, or like how that went?
So this is going to be a bad answer, but I did get lucky with that. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have like a silver bullet for this kind of stuff. My friend that I told you about, who was my first ever client, he came to me, so that was my client number one. Second client was they're a Singapore-based client who are still my client now. They were recommended to me by my friend who works for them, and they needed a new website, and we built it, and we support them with their SEO. Third client that I ever got came to me from the very first place of work. So they found out that I started my own agency, or they found me on LinkedIn. So this is if you're still working full time, and they reached out to me and said, "Can we come to you instead?" And I said, so that's already three quite respectably paying clients that I had under my belt. So I didn't really have to stress too much. But if you are employed full time, you have to be really careful because you're obviously under contract. You shouldn't really be out looking for clients because in the UK you've got a non-compete. So you can't really go emailing people if they fit within your agency's budget because that's called poaching. So
Mm-hmm.
that's illegal. You're not allowed to do that. So I would either try to find clients that are so small your agency doesn't work with them, so literally tiny, like peppercorn, like £100 a month, £50 a month. But that's the first step. The reality is you're not going to get a 15K a month client as your first one. You're not. People think, oh, well, I'm really good at this. I'm going to charge thousands of pounds. That's not how it works. You can be the best SEO in the world. You're going to charge £50 a month until you leave, and then you can do whatever you want. So I think it's like morally, I know people sometimes don't care about this stuff, but you have to have respect for your workplace too. So that's what I did. My client that I keep telling you about, he was paying me less than what the agency takes on.
Mm-hmm.
That would have never been an issue. Obviously, I didn't tell them about it, but legally, that's not an issue at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think do being kind, like being a genuinely kind and honest person is really important. So don't lose yourself while you're trying to grow your business. Keep other people in mind, but do it, yeah, just do it right. I don't know what else to say about this bit, but get your first little clients, however much they're paying you. Maybe speak to your family and friends. That's how a lot of people seem to do it. But just get that testimonial. So what you're doing is you're trying to detach yourself from being owned. Your name is the agency's name. You're building a brand for you. I'm not the company, I am Kira. And now I'm Diary of an SEO. So you detach from that company and push it to the other company. So that's a really important thing to do, but you shouldn't be rushing it or, walking over people's heads and trying to steal all their clients. So that's not, I personally think that's not a nice thing to do. I know a lot of people do it, but hey, everyone's different.
Yeah, but also we are talking like how to build our business align with our values. So if something is off from your values, just like don't do it, because it's not the only option. Like you will come up with so many opportunities, like different options, and if you're just like hitting one wall, another wall, maybe you're doing it wrong. You
Yeah,
just need to like come back to yourself and see, because what I'm seeing in you is actually you are always focused how to really help people you are work with. In like, and that is kind of, I don't know, like what you're believing in, like is it God, universe, but like that is kind of like the energy that we are creating, like if we are just like helping other people, and like that is something that will come back to us, like in other like uh cryptocurrencies, like in other currencies, but like, like helping others are coming back, like in, I don't know, then we are thinking like we are lucky, then like you had a friend who had a friend and like a recommendation. Basically just like talking, like what you are doing with your friends can come up with some ideas. Maybe your friend has some connections with another company and you can like work around that.
Exactly, because you at the end of the day, you end up attracting the people who are most like you, and you don't have to try. That's just how the world works. You attract those people, and then when you look around, I'm sure you have the same thing. If you look around your client pool, I'm always like, "Wow, these guys are so nice and helpful and sweet." And this is not a compliment to myself, but this is what I want to this is what I want to nurture in clients. And I wake up sometimes and I'm like, "Damn, I'm really lucky. Like these guys are super chill." But that's what I want. That's what I want people to feel. Like you said, you seem like you wanna help people. I That's not something I've tried to build in myself. I'm just staying true to myself, and I don't try to attract every single client on the planet. I let the ones that are like me come to me, and then we work so well together. I've had clients where we don't align, and I've had to let them go. It's not nice, but that's you're gonna have to do that at some point once you figure out what your business sense of self is.
Mm-hmm. And even it seems like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like my every client is, like good client for me. There is a moment when you are realizing that the client is wasting more of your energy, more of your time, more of your like everything on daily basis, then they are just like paying you. And then like it's decision to choose like your health, your like mental thing, your energy and time instead of money. So how did you do that?
Oh my god. This is such a great question. I At the beginning, I didn't. So, I do believe that this is normal. This is good to do in the beginning because you don't know who you are yet in business. I used to attract just everyone, like, whatever industry, whatever niche, however much money you have, what kind of person you are, don't care, come work with me, just pay me. Then you start understanding, like you said, that my emotional state is more valuable than the 5K you're paying me a month. My mental health is priceless. Then you start thinking, can I can I fix this? Is this something that I did? So I think you should also always be introspectively thinking how you can change stuff. I don't really blame people. My first thought always is, what can I do better? Because people don't want to be bad on purpose, right? We're all
Mm-hmm.
just we're mirroring each other. So I say, well, why don't I try something different? No, I What I do, which I think is quite special to the agency, is the way I communicate with every single one of my clients is different. I've morphed myself a little bit into what they are. I know whether they like, smiley faces in their emails, or if they want me to call them on WhatsApp and just be like, oh, hey, you're ranking first. Not everyone likes that. So you have to morph yourself to become like that kind of person. And then you try all of these things. And if it doesn't work, so I've got a 3-step rule: say it once, give it time, say it twice, but a little bit firmer, see how you get on, say it 3 times, give it less time. And if you sit there and say, I have tried everything and it's not working, I don't feel right about this, then you contact them and you say, I think it would be best for us if we parted ways because I want you guys to be happy and I want me to be happy. So I think the best
Mm-hmm.
decision for us would be to end the contract. So there's no bad blood. Sometimes it's been, oh my goodness, like I didn't realize that we're going through this. And then you guys talk it out, and all of a sudden it's fine. So I've had clients where we had this conversation where it was, you guys need to go, but instead they've doubled their budget because I'm struggling because I don't have time. They're struggling because they think I'm not delivering enough. So what's the outcome? Increase the budget, and we're both happy. So this uncomfortable truth gives you a new way to go. Or if they say, yeah, I think that's a good idea, and then you walk away. So either way, you win and they win.
Mm-hmm.
Either they get more SEO or they get, more time to find someone else and then realize that they possibly were wrong or right. So you have to be diplomatic always. in business, especially in SEO, because it's a very abstract thing to explain to people. They expect lots of stuff. And sometimes, you know what? I would say 60% of the time, it's you could have explained it a little bit better to them. And they're just fighting you because they want a bit more from you. So that's what I've learned. I know it'll be different for other people, but I think you have to be honest. Again, stay true to yourself. If you, short answer is you don't like them, let them go. Get a new one. So,
Yeah, because even it seems kind of like stupid idea, just like letting people like and not working with you. Just when you are waiting the energy and like time that you are wasting on them, in comparison to if you are using that time and energy to find new clients, basically you can
mhm,
find like three new clients that will waste less energy, that will pay you more, but you really need to be ready to give up on something that is not good for you. And like it's the same in the relationships, in the partnerships,
yeah,
in the with the clients. When you are ready to let it go, the energy is just like different.
exactly.
When
And
you are kind of like sorry when you are kind of like trying to like yeah I will do everything just like make this work, we know. And like uh, this is so easy to see like in the relationships,
mhm.
but in the business is so hard. But like that's the same, like like we are the same person with our partners, in the relationships with others and with our clients.
Exactly. It's not easy. You know, all of the questions that we've covered today, there is no silver bullet for anything. That's what life's all about. It's about failing and learning. So you won't get it right the first time, and that's okay. And it's not easy. People are going to go through this struggle with clients, so that's one of the biggest things that's really difficult for people. And you're going to sometimes be like, "Wow, maybe I made a mistake." Or maybe I should have said this and I didn't. But the best thing is you learn, so learn from your mistake and do it better next time.
And definitely, when we are starting our own businesses, like failing is just like part of our day. Like it's every day, doesn't matter, like small mistakes, big mistakes, failures, rejections, like all the fears are just like coming along with you. And that is like something that you can't like be prepared for. You just like need to face it and then overcome, face it again, overcome. It's
Yeah,
just like every day is a but like it doesn't need to be a struggle, like rejection from different clients, failures. Like failure doesn't need to be bad and like thing that is like impacting your mental health and everything, like
exactly.
making mistakes, fine, let's do better, make mistake, let's do better. But
Exactly.
like, and this is, it seems for us to say, like, oh, she's fine with failures, maybe she didn't fail as me or something like that. But like, how to actually make more closer to people who are not okay with a failure, who want to be successful, who want to have like, big clients, big company, who are not just like okay with failing.
That's an awesome question, and I agree with 110% of what you've just said. And the question, how do people who can't embrace failure, how do they move forward? I'm going to be super blunt in this and say if you're not okay with failing, you will not succeed in business. And that is the uncomfortable truth, but you must fail. The people who succeed have outfailed their competition. I wake up every day, and this wasn't easy for me. I'm a perfectionist. I did not like failing, but I knew if you want to be rich and successful and you want to have millions in the bank and have lots of people who love you and support you in business, you have to fail and you have to step up. Every day you have to wake up and say, I can't wait to, mess stuff up today, but I'm going to learn from it. Because
Yeah.
the difference is you've got one person who reads theory for 6 months and you've got the person who has failed 150 times over 6 months, found a better way to do things. And this theory person, he or she will probably not get there in the next 5, 10 years. You have to do the thing and you have to try and fail. And this is something that Stephen Bartlett, I know some people aren't fans of him, but I've just finished his book, Diary of a CEO. So
Mhm.
his podcast name is, I was inspired by it, hence my company name. But I've just finished his book recently, and the biggest businessmen and women in the world, they embrace failure. So you have to change your mindset. And this would be very much your cup of tea, isn't it? Mindset and how you overcome these things. I don't know if you agree with the failing aspect. I want to know, what do you think
Yeah.
about? Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. And just like for people who are listening this, just like think, if you are not even trying, are you still failing? Because like it's not, like I will not fail because I will not try. Like I want to be a perfect head of SEO, director of SEO. I don't want to stress myself with like finding new clients, with finding like my new kind of life. And if you are totally okay in your body with that, just like go with it. But if you just think that something is more and like better for you outside of like the world that you are living in, then it's just like time to make a change. And like this kind of like new change that you need to embrace, new mindset, is something that is so teachable, like it is so learnable. Because if you are able to learn a lot of like these things about SEO, like technical updates and all these, mindset is just like a piece of cake. Because like it's definitely more straightforward when you have tools, when you have all these kinds of like even checklists, where all these the way of your thinking is coming from.
Yeah.
Like it's I think just people don't believe how the powerful is when you uh, meet yourself like at the deepest level, like why you react in the way you are react, why
Hmm.
you are stressed for some things and other people are not.
Hmm.
Because all of these are coming from your past experiences, from
Hmm.
cultures, from the parents and the life that you live in the past. And you kind of like shape thinking, like, oh, the response from this client is rude, but when someone else is reading, it's not rude. So just like
Exactly.
why
Yeah.
you are thinking this is rude or like it's unprofessional or something like that. It's just like meeting ourselves on the deepest level, so you
Hmm.
can kind of like relieve yourself. And like people call it like healing, like in this moment you are okay with a failing, like I can fail, others can think that I'm failure, my mom and my dad, like like it's so interesting, definitely for another topic. But like this mindset thing is actually why we shouldn't fail. Because when we are advising other people or our friends, we are advising to, yeah, just try it, and like you never know. But when it comes to us, we are so, oh, I will be rejected, I will fail, others
Yeah.
will think about me, they will say some bad things. But like, why is that? Like, why we are advising someone else different than we are advising ourselves?
Exactly. It is really hard though. So talking about it now, you and I seems like we've lived through it and we've understood it and come out on the other side better, stronger, more resilient. But the people coming into it, so for anyone who wants to start a business, just be prepared to have to revisit your childhood self and all the things you've gone through. So this is quite a sensitive topic, but ever since I started my business, I realized that I needed to go to therapy and unlearn a lot of things that I was taught in my childhood to be better, to make more money, to scale faster. So, starting a business is a beautiful thing on so many levels. And if we move it towards mindset, you just become a much more self-aware, well-rounded person. And on all these, it's like when you're trying to get ticks out of a dog, you put olive oil on it. It's kind of like that, and all of that starts coming out, and you're like, whoa, what is going on? So, just a real life example, I used to get emails from one of my clients, and I thought they were really rude. Every time I was getting quite defensive. I was like, oh, why would he say that? And my husband would read it and say, what do you mean? He's not saying anything wrong. And that's when I realized I need to go and speak to someone and understand why. We found out why it was something from my childhood. That client I always had issues with. Then I fixed my mindset, and now it's my biggest paying client, and they've been with me for ages. So your business is so much bigger than you think. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's one of the most incredible things, and I'm sure you can relate to that as well as a business owner. It just makes you just better and more well-rounded.
Yeah. And and the moment why we are not ready to start our own business, that we are having like these sabotaging thoughts,
Mm.
is why we didn't unlearn the things from our past. Because,
Mhm.
like, and I'm always comparing that from the American cultures, like in
Mhm.
their culture is like, yeah, let's start startup, let's start the business,
Mhm.
trying, failing, and it's in their blood to
Mhm.
start the business. But when it comes to cultures like on our side of the
Mhm.
world,
Mhm.
Balkan especially, like,
Mhm.
like middle Europe, like maybe Russia, but
Mhm.
we, our culture is not okay to, like, to be a business owner. That is connected with some kind of like negative tendency. We are not learning in the school how to start business,
Yeah.
like we just like we are learning how to work for somebody else. And
Mhm.
now, after like few years in the corporate world, of course that is so hard to start your own business, because last 30 years you have basically learned that like it's not good, it's not safe, like business can go bankrupt or something like that. So it's most secure part in your life is to go to the full time and work. And
Mhm.
of course you need to unlearn a lot of things and a lot of like beliefs that we collected during our life, to actually go there and say like, yeah, let's do the business, because I need to be different person to start that.
Exactly. That's the whole cultural aspect, isn't it? So my husband, he's half Chinese, so Chinese mother, I've got a Russian mother. Those two cultures are very similar in
Mm-hmm.
the perfection aspect. You'd come home with 90% and you'd hear why not 100. So it's never enough. And if you fail, you get the flip-flop. So you learn to, I have to be perfect, I have to be good. I'm always going to be asked, why couldn't you do better? But I've thankfully let that aspect go now. So, for all the other people, they should probably think about that before starting their business. Because if you think about Jeff Bezos, if you think about Gordon Ramsay, so both very famous people in different industries, you know Jeff for Amazon, but you don't know him for the hundreds of startups that failed that he's tried to launch. You know about Gordon Ramsay's restaurants, but you don't know about dozens of restaurants that have shut down really embarrassingly because he failed. And J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter, she got refused by multiple publishers for years. People told her she was an awful writer. But the difference between a successful person and not a very successful person in business is that you give up or you keep going, because you fail 100 times, but you only need to win once to win big.
Yeah. And actually, the only way that you are really failing is to just like give up. If you
Yeah,
will continue, you will find a way.
exactly, exactly. Failure should be good. The connotation of failure is so negative. I think we need to enhance that word and actually do it as like a, don't know, almost a bridge to success. So
Hmm.
now failure is good. There's nothing that you can do that is irreversible and horrendous. Like, unless the world ends with something that you do, you're fine. Like, it's not a
Yeah.
big deal.
It's just a middle step, like you need to go there, and I need to have like this step. It's like step one, two, three. Step two is failing. I need to go and pass, learn from it, and just like move on. And
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay. Hmm.
yeah, sorry, go
Sorry.
ahead.
No, no, no. Sorry. Go ahead.
I forgot what I was gonna say anyway. Something happened.
Okay, and we are talking about all these things, and maybe people are saying like, where is the line with your values or something like that. So I really want to make the connection, like all of these parts of our personalities, how we went through, how we are overcoming, how we are learning, how we are changing beliefs, how we are like doing is actually part of like humans, like, and that is, and also it's connected with the values, like how you are seeing yourself, like are you willing to try and fail? Is that your value better than just like not trying at all? Can you think about like any other values that brought you up here? Also you are helping, so it's kind of like a synergy between all these things. So how, like people, how to define like what is their value and how to connect their value with their business?
So that's a really great question, and I'm not sure this is 100% relevant, but one of my values is my why. I know that's not a standard answer, but my why are you doing this, drives everything. My values, the person I am, and it's quite a deep one. So for me, my why is that one day I can be on stage and my kids can look at me and say, "Wow, that's my mum," because personal family things. So that is my why. Every day I wake up, I think, "Oh, maybe I'll just sleep in for another half an hour," but actually, I'm working towards a bigger goal, and we've only got, however many days, about 20,000 days left in this world. And my why, I wake up and I imagine that. I imagine our kids being proud of mum and dad for what they've achieved the right way, the helpful way, that people look up to us and they think, damn, is that your parent? That's really cool. And that the kids never have to worry about money again, and I can teach them how to do it. So that is my why. And because of that why, I just have, I see nothing else. I'm like a horse in blinkers. My only way is forward. So developing your values should also come from developing your why, because you can't not have a why. It could be, I want to get really rich, but why do you want to get really rich? Or I want to have a big company, but why do you want to have a big company? So there's always something from your childhood that's pushing your why. So I would say sit down and figure it out, because it will really help. It'll motivate you so much. Because you look at, what kind of person am I today? So, for example, you wake up, you look at your phone for 2 hours, or you wake up, you read a self help book, you get on a podcast with Adriana, and then you continue SEO work. Which one do you want to be? So, really, the choice is ours. But, like I said, with all the values things, stay true to yourself, find your why, and try to link it with the things that you love doing the most. It doesn't always mean that you should do that, but it helps. It helped me, especially if you're quite a passionate person, which you seem like you are, and I definitely am. Well, I think our whys drive us so much more, and us wanting to help people and us just having fun with what we're doing. I think that
Yeah.
drives it. Yeah.
Yeah, because that why drives everything, and values are actually just like part of you, like why you do, why you want certain
Mhm,
things, like
mhm,
your why is family because
mhm,
your value is family,
mhm.
like it's
Yeah.
so in the circle, and don't be afraid to come and start from any of these, like, oh,
Mhm,
what is my why, what is my value? No, just like start writing like who you are as a person, like what kind of job you
mhm,
want, or how
mhm,
many hours you want to work, where you want to work, what kind of job you would you would like to have, because all these, I don't know, flexibility, money things, values, families, like free time, like in
mhm,
being independent, are actually you, that you
mhm.
are valuing the most.
Exactly. It's very simple once you actually sit down and start writing it down. And the eureka moment is one of the best things ever, because all of a sudden everything you do makes sense. Most of the time we do things on autopilot, but in retrospect, when you figure out that why and that value, you're like, "Oh, that's why I did that. That's really cool." So back in the day when I was teaching English, so SEO was not even, that didn't exist in my mind. I remember my boss asking, "What do you want to do in the future?" And I said, "I want to travel a lot and I want to help people." But I didn't know what that was going to look like. And
Yeah.
now that's exactly what I'm doing. So you kind of manifest it, you plant the seed. I know people hate the word manifesting, but my God, it works. And you plant that seed and you work towards what you want. So emotional freedom, financial freedom, and that's kind of, you mold into it. So just plant the thought in your head of what you want. Never be scared to dream big. And then
Mm-hmm.
the universe helps. The universe is good. I'm not religious, but I do believe in energy in the universe. So
Yeah.
if you send positivity out, you will get positivity back. If you're like, "Oh, I suck, I'm so lazy," that's what you're going to be. But you wake up and you say, "I'm not lazy, I'm going to go out and I'm going to go for a walk," and then you get used to it.
Yeah. And when you are mentioning like manifesting and like
Mhm.
having a plan, also I don't love like manifestation and like these kinds of things. But
Yeah.
just like for people who are listening, it's not just like manifestation. You can call it, and how I'm calling it, just like giving clear instructions to your brain what you
Mhm.
want. Like, okay, in next 6 months, I want to be this and this and this.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like, like you mentioned that like very well, that's a plan. So
Mhm.
you don't need to manifest you are a business owner, or but like you need to put a clear instructions to your brain, like, hey, I want to be a business owner. In
Mhm.
6 months, I want to have like 3 clients who are paying me so I can quit my job. I will do this by this and this and this.
Mhm.
I'm going to like try, fail, try, fail. And this is like clear instruction. Okay, if I want to be there, I want to try this and this. And when you are failing in the process, you will not feel bad because you know that is instruction, you know, like
Mhm.
what you need to go through to be
Mhm.
there in 6 months. And like
Exactly.
that's it. Like and then other people will say like, yeah, that's manifestation, like you are a business owner. But like doesn't matter how we are calling it, just like make it work for you.
Exactly, exactly. That's what I mean. So manifesting, I think social media has kind of ruined the word a little bit, to be honest. So when people are like, "Oh, I manifest this," like manifesting doesn't mean take a selfie and then do nothing about it. Like that's not manifesting. You have to plant that seed. You have to say what you want. For example, I don't know. Say I want to do 5 international talks in 2025, as an example, and then I do nothing about it. Like that's not manifesting. Like that's what you want and then you're being lazy about it. But I've got that plan written down and then I'm going to go and I'm going to apply for 10, 12, 15 talks and I'm going to get 5 of them because I don't also in a book that I read, you give yourself plan A and you forget about plan B because when you have a plan B, you're more likely to resort to that plan. So it's kind of what I said in the beginning. I gave myself 30 days to succeed and I said you can't fail. And see, that's the backside of it because I fail all the time. But then I was like, you cannot fail. You're going to do this. And you do it. And when you do achieve that goal, you're like, huh, that was good. But if you don't, then you learn from that and then you keep going. So it's super multifaceted, you know, it's definitely not black and white. It depends on the circumstance, on the day, on the hour, and on the task as well. But I think setting yourself a goal of any sort, like I've set myself goals that I didn't reach, but that's okay because I can, you know, I can switch the goal, I can do something else, but I've always got a list of things that I need to achieve. Like life is long. So write a plan and try to achieve those things little by little.
Yeah, because you mentioned a great point. Once you gave yourself like 30 days, or like
Mhm.
I don't want to fail. Also, you didn't make another plan like, okay, if this is not working out, like I will find another job. Maybe I can already apply, and then like your focus is divided like on applying
Mhm.
new jobs, applying
Yeah.
this and this. Uh, and that is a reason like why like SEOs are not having the business because
Mhm.
they are so stick to their like jobs. Like, let's make this work. Maybe I will find another client. Maybe I will do this, but like my financials, like I need to collect more and more money. And then like even 10K is not enough money
Mhm.
for like anything. And
Mhm.
then just like the focus is just divided. So uh,
Exactly.
and then of course that you end up after like 5 years trying to be a business owner, but like you are not fulfilling that goal. So you really need to kind of, and that is kind of managing your mind,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
like you are managing your mind, saying like, you know what, I'm giving this, I'm going to be fully focused for next 2 months finding new clients. I will do
Mhm.
this by this and this.
Mhm.
If that is not working, I will find out later, but like let's
Mhm.
be focused just on this.
Exactly. I think Warren Buffett said if you aim for nothing, you miss. So you can't just go into this world, you know, floaty and say, I kind of want to do this, but also I kind of want to do that. Or if it doesn't work, I'll just do that. You have to have a bit of a strong stance on things. You have to aim for something in order to get yourself closer. So, regardless of what happens, because lots of things can happen, you will be closer to the goal. So, people like to go from 0 to 100. You know, they're like, oh, I didn't reach it, I failed. But have you learned something in those 2 months? You probably have. 100% you have. So actually, you've learned a lot and you just keep moving. It's like a little step ladder. You know, you're not going to wake up and have millions. You're going to have to work for it mentally and physically as well.
And the end of the day, you know, like everybody's saying, I really want my own business, but just like check yourself, is this really something that you want? Because
Mhm.
people are kind of just like, those are like fluffy words for SEO. Oh, I want to be SEO consultant. I want to have like my
Yeah.
clients. It
Yeah.
feels that like it's good to have that. But you know, like some people, they just don't want to go through all this. And like
Exactly.
that's totally fine. But like
Yeah.
just be very straightforward for yourself because you are stressing yourself and you are unfulfilled because you want something that you don't want in the end
Exactly.
of the day,
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
just few questions. Do I really want this? Maybe not now, maybe now, but like be very straightforward with yourself. And like it's not doesn't matter, like maybe next year, maybe next 5 years, but like at least you can enjoy what you have.
Exactly. And maybe you never want to start a business, and that's fine. You know, you've got people like visionaries and you've got people like logisticians that prefer to be more back office. Like, not everyone has to have a business, and having a business does not mean that you're suddenly more successful than someone who works for someone else. It all depends on personality. I've got a business because I cannot work under people. You know, it's far beyond me. You know, I hate authority. Like, I think everyone's wrong all the time. So I just couldn't I couldn't work in that kind of environment, you know? And that's not a good thing, but that's how it is. And
But you
maybe
were
some
honest. It's not
yeah,
good or bad. Like you were
yeah,
honest, like I
yeah.
just can't do this anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So it would be either way. So I started it because I am not the type of person to work under people. You know, I want to be my own boss because that's where my skill lies and that's where I'm comfortable and that's where I thrive. Other people, you know, you've got people making like 500K a year working for big brands, working under someone else, big corporates, and they love it. Depends on your personality. You know, we're not the same. We're all different people.
Yeah. And definitely for people who are, I would say, like obsessed with the growth, definitely like businesses for you.
Mhm,
I was thinking for myself, like what kind of entrepreneur, like none, like there is no like thing for me. But when I collect all my experiences, I was like, I'm just like obsessed with my growth, like like
mhm,
personal growth, like not
mhm,
not any kind of like other growth. But yeah, I just like want to see myself how I'm growing as a business, because
mhm,
definitely what I saw in the corporate, like I hit the kind of like the ladder, and like I
mhm,
was totally fine. Like I was liking my job, like
mhm,
everything was fine. But like I then I realized, if I really want to grow, like this is not something that I will do there. Let's do
mhm.
business. And then like, everything just like hit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know.
And
But
then
that's
I need to move shit like now it like
yeah, exactly. But that's 'cause so you and I are a similar type of like group of people. We want personal growth, you know, we do a lot of self-development. I assume I won't speak for you, but I want to be the dumbest person in the room because I want to look up at people and learn from them. If I'm the best person in the room, that's not my room.
yes.
So but that's a certain type of person. Again, you're not wrong for doing something else or not wanting to, you know, to be the best, to be like super wealthy, to be worldwide famous. It's not, you know, everyone has their own path, I think, and it's
Mm-hmm.
whatever is more comfortable for you. So you are in your business because emotionally that's more comfortable, that you are in your zone. I'm in my zone. We're not in our zone if we're working for other people. We're not like our best selves. Like Elon Musk says, you know, if you actually was someone else's quote, you put a shark in a little bathtub, it's gonna grow to this big, but you put the shark in the sea and it's gonna grow 6, 7 meters. So that's
Yeah.
kind of how I live my life. You know, I need space
Yeah.
to blossom.
Because I assume like that's the same for me. These kinds of things are fulfilling me like the most. Like,
Mhm,
like I'm getting the most boost of the energy and like
mhm,
all this. And like for people who are not seeing this, and I was like, why I would have like extra clients and like go through all this extra stress without like any fulfillment
mhm,
behind it. Just not doing that, like
mhm.
it's not better here or there. It's just like what you want from this life for yourself. It's just that.
Exactly. People like to compare is the thing. Comparing is really dangerous, but it's also natural to compare. So you can't just be like, don't compare. And someone's gonna be like, okay, I won't. You're going to do it regardless, but comparing is dangerous in this sense because you can't compare a pencil and a, you know, a color pencil. It's two completely different things for two different
Yeah.
activities. So people but I think everyone should engage in, you know, personal growth. Like I wouldn't be saying this kind of stuff a year ago, but because I've been, you know, smacked by life this year with business, that's why I say this kind of stuff. A year ago, I would be like, I'm going to compare myself to absolutely everyone. I'm gonna do all the wrong things, I'm gonna say all the wrong things, I'm probably gonna go back to my old job. But you know what? You learn and you grow, and I'm completely different than what I was a year ago. And that's
Yeah,
my win because I can see, I look back at myself and I'm cringing at myself. That's when you know that you've done something right. If you look back and you're like, ugh. So next
yeah,
year I'll be cringing about myself today. I'll probably
yeah.
watch this episode back and I'll be like, oh, turn it off.
Yeah, but what actually the growth on myself brought to me, and please share like what you got is actually even I'm having, I would say, like the biggest challenges in my life. I
Mhm,
am the least like the stress about it.
mhm,
My relationships are better with my
mhm,
family, with my friends.
mhm,
Um, I got peace, you know, like, and I was
mhm,
like 15 years ago, I didn't have like any problem and like I
mhm,
haven't been in peace. But
mhm.
like now I'm having like all these challenges and like I'm still in peace, you know, like
Yeah, yeah.
I have never been more fulfilled, more happy, more
Mhm.
satisfied. Even it seems for somebody else who is looking, my circumstances has been changed and like it's much more, it seems harder, but it feels so better for me.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point actually. I but I guess that's because we are in, or you are in the place of comfort emotionally, so you're kind of in your little bubble, so anything can happen externally, but you are calm within yourself. So there is no storm. So everything else, obviously, like, it matters, but it doesn't get to you. And that's the same thing with me. So I mean, mine is slightly different. I went through really turbulent things in earlier life that would never compare to anything that, any business stress, nothing. So that's, for me, whatever happens is, is meh, whatever, because I've gone through like really traumatic years before.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, again, that's the why, you can't go back to that traumatic time, and that kind of drives me. So nothing throws me off because I've experienced that really horrible stuff. So I'm like, well, this is just business issues, this is just my client leaving or something. Like, it's not a big deal. It's not
Mm-hmm.
disaster. So I always compare it to that, and, like, touch wood that nothing bad happens. That's even worse than that. But that's how my bubble is kept safe, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
comfortable, and also I know that my family is safe. I know I keep going back to family. Safe family, everyone's healthy, uh, we're all like stable, like there's no turbulence like there was back in the day. So it's everything's fine.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And because like you know like the family and like these kinds of are real values that like we
Mhm.
often forget, you know, like we always dream like more clients, more money, more like popularity, more kind of things, but like back of the day like what really matters to us, you know, like.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
for the last thing today is for people who are struggling like currently and like who
Mhm.
had a hard period like in the past. Do you think that is there any connection between like you know overcoming the challenges that they are facing to be ready for something even like greater for them, like bigger for them? Because I really believe in that, like when you are struggling with something that if
Mhm.
you can use it to actually be better person and also to use that as your strength to go over some other things, you know, like because what I'm seeing in my environment is like for people who haven't had like big problems in
Mhm.
their life, they are kind of in their bubble, like not doing anything, not
Mhm.
seeing like what is their purpose, just like you know like they happens and like they haven't like done anything for that day
Mhm.
in comparison to people who were very struggling, who passed up big problems, but they are kind of today like inspirational. Like I'm enjoying like seeing them how they are speak, how they are successful, how they value the real things in the life. So do you see like the similar experience in your case?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of a double-edged sword, to be honest. Because I've lived through like not very nice things, I always see that people who've gone through troubles make better leaders, from what I've seen. But again,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you have to go through pain to be successful. But again, you always project from what kind of person you are. Before things happened, I was a different person. So the reason I sit
Mm-hmm.
here today is because I went through all the shit, sorry, that I went through.
No, we are saying shit. No.
Oh, good. Because of that. So I retrospectively am very grateful for that horrendous time because it
Mm-hmm.
made me who I am. So I think for anyone going through terrible struggle, and also it's all relative, you don't have to have like the worst couple of years in the world to be like, I've gone through stuff. Like it could be anything. You're allowed to feel what you want to feel. But just remember that everything happens for a reason. So again, I don't believe in God, but there's a quote that's like, God will keep sending you the same challenges until you overcome them.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just switch that out for like energy, the universe. But I do believe that's true. So back to my example with my defensiveness when I feel like clients are questioning my authority or something. I kept getting the same thing back over and over and over again. At the point I was like, what the hell is going on? Until that mindset switch. And now it hasn't happened once. So
Mm-hmm.
that whether it be my mind or the universe, we'll never know. But again, you have to go through these things and you will get the same challenges until you overcome them. And then you'll get a new challenge because that's what life's about. If you're not facing challenges, you're not living, okay? You have to
Yeah.
life should be fun, and the fun is complications in life and challenges. You overcome it like an obstacle, you can celebrate, then you go through the next one. That is just how life is. If you're floating through it, you're probably doing it wrong, but nobody's floating through life. Like we're all in the same boat. It just
Yeah.
depends on what kind of challenge you're getting.
It's just and how we are handling them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much for this. I really enjoyed. I think we bring like so massive value here. So thank you so much for the day and for your time and energy. So I hope I
Thank
will see
you.
you maybe next year.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thank you so much. Time flew by. I can't believe it's been an hour.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you. You too.